In the Back of the Book segment tonight, what do American kids know about history? The answer? Just about nothing. The latest data from the Department of Education finds just 18% of 8th graders are proficient or better in U.S. history. That's where series like Bill O'Reilly's Legends and Lies comes in, and teaching American children about some of the nation's most important figures and events. Davy Crockett, the battle for the Alamo.
For weeks, he's been assembling an army of nearly 2,000 soldiers. On February 23, 1836, General Santa Anna and his troops arrive at San Antonio and begin surrounding the Alamo.
So the first thing he does is try to scare them. Raises a black flag of no quarter.
The no quarter flag sends a chilling message to the Texians.
None of you will be spared. And he sets his guns up in strategic position to begin bombarding the Alamo.
What people need to understand about the Battle of the Alamo is that it is a siege. And this battle lasted 13 days.
The Mexican soldiers are forced to retreat. Crockett is living up to his reputation. For now.
Joining us now from Washington, Jane Hampton Cook, historian and author of the book American Phoenix, along with Jay Shuttleworth, a history professor at Columbia. Professor, let's start with you. That is a shocking statistic. 18% of 8th graders only are proficient in U.S. history. So why is history important, Professor?
Well, history is important because we can learn from the past and we can understand how people perhaps have been marginalized and how we can perhaps try to overcome that here in the present.
Well, how about VE Day, Victory in Europe, 70th anniversary today, and I tweeted about 2 in the morning, and I was watching the election returns of from the UK, that kids across the country, in schools across the country, I think there should be a day devoted to what this meant to the war. I mean, we would not be in the country we are today with all of the gains, all of the preeminence that we enjoyed for all those decades, if it weren't for the sacrifices of the men and the women in World War II. And yet, I think if you ask most kids in high school, seniors in high school, say it's the 70th anniversary, VE, they would know what it was.
Well, let me respond. You mentioned the NAEP study, which came out about U.S. history students in 8th grade, and you mentioned the low number for proficient. However, that study also points out that 71% of students are at grade level or above. So proficient is considered often a B+ or A-. So I think that's an important detail. But also VE Day is in state history standards across the country, whether it's celebrated today or not, it does get covered.
Well, Jane, I employ a lot of 20-somethings, and they're smart, and we go to good schools and smart, but we talk about this a lot because we interview college kids to be interns. These are great kids from great schools, but the knowledge seems to be quite on the surface, skimming the surface. We call them headline readers, or today low information voters, but it is important to know history. We don't repeat the mistakes of history, and we see the pitfalls that might lie ahead with new challenges, new context for today's challenges. And if we don't know enough, and I submit we don't know enough, that's a real problem.
It is a problem. And, I hear people who come to book events that I do or speeches, and they say, I was so bored with history as a kid. I wish I'd paid more attention in class. And now I'm really interested in it and want to know more. And so I think to give them more, and I think it's part of a parent's responsibility. I'm a parent of a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, and it's part of my responsibility to help them study for their history test and then to bring in some supplemental information, books, videos, exposing them to things that historical markers in my neighborhood. That's a way to kind of help bring history to alive and make it relevant to life today.
And I would say, Professor, parents are the first educators of their children, like some more help from the schools, but you can take Memorial Day is coming up. They're a wonderful opportunity for families to educate children, young children, old. I remember the first Memorial Day I had my children when they were old enough to go to Arlington National Cemetery and speak about what this is, what this great sacrifice is. I think we get caught up in our daily lives, and we're all so busy. Kids are focused on whether it's in the entertainment culture or the sports world, and that's fine, but they know a lot more about those things oftentimes than they know about these seminal events in American history and world history. And what can we do better as parents and educators to change that love of learning that we want to instill in the kids?
Well, I think the important thing is to be aware that the family is the most important component in a child's education. Yes, good teachers matter. We know that.
We just talked about Baltimore. A lot of these kids don't have active family members. So that's also an issue. We have a lot of dysfunctional families, a lot of breakdown in families, but I guess if you have a family that's intact, you can do that.
Well, I think you mentioned the NAEP study also. Again, 29% of students below grade level in history. That's not okay. We do want to improve that. But I think it's also important to notice that 22% of students in the nation are living below the poverty level. So I think these are ways to improve students' performances. Paulo Freire pointed out that it wasn't that he had a lack of interest in his studies, he was hungry. So I think there are ways to address the family and to address the needs of the community, and I think that may improve what we're looking for.
Well, it's important, and I certainly hope we do better, all of us as parents, educators, on this important topic. Jane, thanks so much.